There's a nice lady named Tammy that I work with, and when we first met and started working together, she felt pretty trapped by this question of whether or not she was trading her future for a comfortable high. For reference, her name is not actually Tammy. I'm just using Tammy for privacy reasons, and if your name is Tammy, this is not you. Or is it? Tammy had gainful employment, a roof over her head, all of her immediate needs met, but this growing fear that she was wasting her life, and that cannabis was the culprit. And I can relate to that. In the very beginning of me creating this YouTube channel, that's how I felt as well. At that time, I felt a very common fear that my cannabis comfort cloud was costing me my ambition. But what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if it's not about the plant at all? Tammy's main concern when we broke it down wasn't really about the plant. It was these levels of tension that she felt in her daily life, or that would pop up in her daily life due to varying situations and experiences. When Tammy began to shift her focus from the blame of the plant to addressing these underlying issues that are the roots behind these tensions, her life and the effects she got from cannabis changed dramatically. She even ended up finding the courage to exit work that drained her and has taken the steps to start her own business. I mean, to me, that's just fucking cool, man. But I will say, if you're wondering, was that a quote-unquote wise move to leave a steady paycheck to quote-unquote gamble on a new business idea? To be frank, I feel most of us have been conditioned on some level to not look at a route of entrepreneurship and instead flock towards places that have HR and payroll that are ready to bring you on their list. For many, it's a sense of safety and preparedness for the future. Now, there are plenty of wonderful and amazing companies out there to work for, and I'm not saying anything against that in totality, or that entrepreneurship is for everyone. But in Tammy's case, it wasn't the plant that was holding her back. It was a deeper part of herself that just wanted more from life. That deeper uncertainty, that discontent, that's what created the laziness. That's what created the fogginess. But this is what I feel is an important point to make. The negative experiences that most people get from cannabis aren't really about the plant. They're actually a signal. You may hear me say, or have heard me say, that the plant tends to bring forth what is deeper. And from my perspective, when you take into account its psychoactive nature and how it interacts with our system, it kind of makes it hard for the analytical part of our mind to deny it. Now, for Tammy, when she decided to shift her focus in this new direction, she had to make some intentional shifts before she was ready to become the version of herself that she truly wanted to be. She worked to become more conscious of what was draining her energy and what was fueling it, and she made space to release any tension from the past that was stored within her. And I know that may sound woo-woo, but it's true. And she also began to release the shame that she had around her relationship with the plant as well. And with that, everything changed. Doors both in her mind and in her life opened, and they continue to open. And so seeing that transformation with Tammy and so many others that I've worked with, for me, it's a little bit challenging to just answer that question that's in the title of this video in a way that's binary. There's so much nuance to this. But if I had to answer it, I would say the answer is no, but also yes. And I'm going to go into how that both work, or how both sides of that works, beginning with the no side. It's no because the plant itself is not the thief of your ambition. It just simply doesn't have that power. If throughout your mind and body you're not really excited about certain elements of your life, then it's going to accentuate that. But it's not making something happen that's not already there. Now, that being said, if you're like Tammy and you do feel that it is, it doesn't mean that it's wrong for you to question your relationship with the plant. In fact, this feeling and predicament is what I hear most often from people I work with. It's just that when we solely blame the plant, we're missing that signal that it's showing us. I know I've said signal a few times, and in case that's kind of blurry, I'm going to make it a little bit more clear here just in a couple seconds. But first, let's address the yes side of things. How you could be trading your future for a comfortable high. And this ties back to what I was just saying a second ago. If by chance there isn't full alignment in either your work or your relationships or what you do every day, it's going to, make that more loud. And so if you're not in a position to make changes in some of those categories, then in those situations, a tolerance break, taking some time away from the plant, likely is the best option, especially if you've never had a tolerance break before. And in these situations, the comfort that cannabis provides can make it a lot easier to stay in those situations. But if you are someone who sees this and goes, okay, I want to make those changes, you can make those changes without taking away the plant and begin to shift the effects that you get from it. And I'm going to be doing a lot more content that talks about how to do that. And if you do end up deciding to go the route of taking a tolerance break, you don't have to do it with brute force. And if you're someone who maybe has tried taking tolerance breaks before, you might have noticed that when you set rigid parameters around it, it can make it more challenging to stick with it. Before we wrap up, it's worth noting here that if you are someone that takes cannabis or uses cannabis for medicinal reasons, making any kind of shifts in your patterns of usage, it'd be best to consult, a physician or do your own research. Don't take everything that I say as it's your, direction to what to do going forward. You may be well aware of that, but it's worth noting. Now, the idea of a signal, to kind of make that a little bit more clear in case it's foggy, is whenever you get a sign from your mind or your body that we could describe as a form of resistance. That could be a reaction to some news you don't like. It could be a change in environment. It could be someone not doing what you think they should do. And when you understand that if you have a consistent relationship with cannabis, it's consistently in your system. So even if you take a break for a couple days, what's going on in your thought, in your mind, in your body, your central nervous system regulation, in other times, even when you're not using it, it's still affected by that. And so when you have these signals and they're a little bit more loud, maybe because of the cannabis being in your life, it's amplifying it, these are your opportunities to work with these deeper aspects of yourself. They are your signals. For a lot of people, like a historical version of myself and Tammy, when we have these unconscious triggers, these tension moments that aren't addressed, they accumulate. This builds up, which translates to our body making less of what I believe is called anandine. I'll put it on the screen here, but it's our body's own cannabinoid. It's our body's own THC molecule equivalent. And so when that is lessened, it creates more of a natural leaning on the cannabis plant, which can also constrict your relationship to it. But when you begin to work with and address the signals and what is actually at the root behind the signal, you begin to take that load off of cannabis. And that's when you start to shift the effects that you get from it. So this may open up some potential questions that you could ask yourself, like, are there any areas in my life that I find unfulfilling? Whether it's work stress, relationship stress, or maybe even a task or a project or an idea that you've been putting off. Fair warning is that when you begin to start addressing these deeper layers of yourself, it's commonly reported and experienced that the signals can become a little bit louder. The volume kind of gets turned up. If you saw another video I did, I was making reference to it's like your inner child is in the way back of the bourbon. If you're not on board with the inner child dynamic, I totally get it. But if you think about a child that's in the way back of the bourbon suburban or the way back of your SUV and no one's really paid attention to it, one, you could imagine there's going to be some dysregulated emotions there. But two, if one day you go, all right, we're going to talk to you now, we're going to work with you, you could expect that they might become a little bit much. Now, I'm not saying this to deter you, because the benefits of doing this are fucking profound, and that's not a load of shit. That's real shit. So if you want to dive more into how to work with your signals, I think you'll really like this other video that I made, which is titled, Cannabis Isn't Creating Your Anxiety, It's Revealing It. And if you're finding resonance in what we've been talking about in this video, I think you'll definitely find benefit in watching it. Please feel free to comment any questions you have about anything I talk about on any video, and maybe you can subscribe if you find them helpful. But either way, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next video.